All right, let's journey to one of the most incredible places on Earth. But we're not just here to look at the pretty pictures. Nope, we're going to uncover a radical new idea about what Machu Picchu was really for. A secret that's been hiding in plain sight, right inside its most sacred temples. When you think of Machu Picchu, this is probably what you see, right? An awe-inspiring city in the clouds, a secret place for ceremonies, worship, a connection to the divine. It's just a breathtaking piece of Incan genius. But what if that's only half the story? Because there's a new theory that suggests something completely different. What if this city in the sky wasn't just a sanctuary? What if it was also a cage, a prison for the empire's most powerful enemies? Now that is the question we're digging into today. So let's get started. We're going way beyond the postcard view. In this first part, we're going to start peeling back the layers on this place to see if there's a darker purpose hidden inside those ancient stones. And that brings us to the core idea, a theory that really challenges everything we thought we knew. It suggests that the most beautiful, most sacred parts of Machu Picchu, the temples themselves, might have had a chilling double life. To really get this, we need to talk about a specific term, the royal prison. Now, this wasn't some dungeon for your average criminal. Oh no, this was more like a gilded cage, built specifically for conquered kings, rival nobles, high-status threats. You know, the kind of people who were way too important to kill, but far too dangerous to let roam free. And here's where it gets really interesting. On the one hand, you have what we've always believed. These were sacred spaces for worship. But this new theory flips that on its head. It reframes them as claustrophobic prisons. Suddenly, a symbol of divine connection becomes a tool for some pretty brutal political and psychological control. It just changes everything. So how can we even begin to see this? I mean, it's pretty hard to imagine these beautiful open temples as prisons. And that's where modern tech comes into play. We can actually use artificial intelligence to help us see what these temples might have looked like as places of incarceration. First, just take a second and picture one of the high temples as we see it today. Think about that incredible stonework, the open-air design that lines up with the sun and the mountains. It feels boundless, spiritual, like it was made to make you look up at the heavens. So how does the AI do it? It's a really cool process. First, the AI learns the space exactly as the Inca built it. It analyzes the divine architecture, the layouts, the spiritual meaning behind every single stone. Then, it gets a whole new set of rules based on what we know about Incan justice and confinement. And finally, this is where the magic happens. The AI merges those two realities and generates a virtual model of what that sacred temple becomes when you change its purpose from worship to a prison. And this is the result. The incredible beauty of the architecture is still there. You can see the perfect stonework, the amazing view, but it's warped. It's been twisted into something grim and claustrophobic, something you can't escape. The sacred is made profane. The open space becomes a cell. Seeing it like this lets us shift our focus from the physical space to the human one. I mean, what must it have been like to be a captured king, a noble, imprisoned right here? What was the psychological toll of being trapped in a lost paradise? The cruelty of the idea is just breathtaking. Imagine it. You're surrounded by this divine architecture, a constant reminder of the gods, but you're living a life of brutal incarceration. A sacred space you might have once worshipped in is now your cell. And those awe-inspiring views, they're not a source of wonder anymore. They're just a painful, constant reminder of the freedom you've lost, a world you can see but you can never, ever touch again. This quote just sums it up perfectly. The ultimate punishment, to be caged within paradise, forgotten by the world but never by the gods watching from the walls. It points to a kind of psychological torture that is just uniquely grim. So, what does this all mean for the history books? In this last section, we'll look at how this theory, if it holds up, could totally change how we see the Inca Empire and the way it wielded power. We often think of empires controlling people through armies and laws, but this theory points to something way more sophisticated, a new dimension of Inca power, strategic psychological control. It suggests that the empire's greatest achievement, Machu Picchu itself, was actually weaponized, turning beauty into an instrument of punishment. And that leaves us with one final, really provocative thought. If a place as famous and as studied as Machu Picchu could be hiding such a dark secret, well, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many of our world's other great wonders are also hiding a history in plain sight? What other stories are just waiting for us in the stones?